Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. I am so ecstatic. I'm delighted to be joined today by Scherrie Payne from the Supremes. Welcome.
Hi, Dr. Lewis. How are you?
Sure. Oh, good. I know now you travel formally with the former ladies of the Supreme Floss, and I love that, loving the floss. But I wanted to, and I know you're still doing a ton of solo work. I wanted to try to kind of go back to the beginning a little bit, and I appreciate you literally squeezing us in as you get ready to go to another engagement, and just
Oh,
talk
sure.
about kind of growing up in the Payne household and the singing and the music that came out of that. Because I know obviously both you and your sister are so accomplished. What was that like?
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, well, actually, neither one of our parents sang. My mother,
Mhm.
she couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. It was that bad, but I shouldn't say that. But we got our gift from God.
Mhm.
Well, then on our father's side, Fred Payne, uh,
Mhm.
his sisters sang. In fact, they had a gospel group called, I think, the Five Stars back in North Carolina, Asheville. So I guess
Right.
maybe that's where it came from as well, but from God foremost. But we always sang as children. Frida was very bashful, and she wouldn't even sing in front of our mother. She would either go behind a curtain or make mama go into another room and then she'd sing. But I was just the opposite. I was a little something else. When my mother would have friends over, I would get in the middle of the floor and I would just start singing. And
Wow.
then when I finished it, I would say, "You want to hear it again?" And before they could answer, I would just start singing again. But then around 10 years old, when Frida was 10, 11, 12, the roles reversed. Frida came out of her shell
Mm.
and she became the extrovert and I became the introvert, I guess, because nobody was paying me any attention anymore. She
Right.
discovered she had a beautiful voice and she's been using it ever since.
Sure. It's just simply amazing. And tell me, I know one of the early groups was Glass Door, and
Glass House,
yeah,
Glass
Glass.
House with Invictus Records.
Wow. How did that all come about to actually get and form, a group and work? I believe it was with Mr. Dozier.
Right, Doja, right. Well, Frida was in New York and she ran into Brian Holland, I think, of walking down the street. And so they got to talking because they had known each other from Detroit, gone to school together, along with Eddie Brian's brother, and Lamont as well.
Okay.
And so, and Aretha Franklin, too, all at the same junior high school. But anyway, Brian said they just formed a new record company in which he'd like to join. He would love to have her. So she did. So she was home from New York and visiting and she was on the phone talking with Eddie Holland and I knew it. So I went in the living room and I got on the piano and I started playing as loudly as I could a
Wow.
song I had written called Everybody Should Know a Little Pain. That was the name of it. I can't remember how it went, but I said, I'm writing this for Gladys Knight and the Pips. But anyway, I sat at the piano and I started playing as loudly as I could. And
Wow.
Frida called me to the phone. She said, Eddie wants to talk to you. I said, okay. So I got on the phone. He said, what was that you were playing? I said, oh, just a little tune I wrote. He said, do you have any more? I said, oh, yeah, I have lots more. He said, well, would you like to audition for our company? I said, well, I don't care. And so he said, we'll send a car around for you. So Ron Dunbar came by, picked me up, and they took me over to Lamont Dozier's house in
Right.
Palmer Woods. And I sat there at his white piano, and
Right.
Eddie and Brian were there, and McKinley Jackson, Jeffrey Bowen. And anyway, I played about 3 or 4 songs, and they said, okay, that's enough. We love it. We said, we'd like to put you in a group, but we don't need another lead female singer because we have Frida and then a couple other people. But so we're forming a group.
Right.
And we want to put you in the group with Ty Hunter, who was a fabulous tenor singer and had a few singles on his own.
Right.
And so they formed the Glass House
Right.
around Ty and myself. And then
Mhm.
they added Pearl Jones and Larry Mitchell. But before Pearl came in, Gloria Hendry was selected, had come in
Okay.
from New York. And we had choreography and everything. But Gloria only stayed a short time. And then she wasn't quite satisfied with the situation, so she went back to New York. Now, Gloria Henry went on good that she went back because she went on to become a James Bond girl. She was
Mm.
the second James Bond girl and the first Black woman to have a romantic scene with
Right.
James Bond. Yeah,
Wow.
Gloria Henry. We're dear friends to this day.
Oh, nice. Wow, that's amazing. And then tell us a little bit about sort of ultimately getting this call from Mary Wilson. I mean, that's just
Yes.
unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely. Well, by that time, this was, I think, 72, 73. Lamont had come out to California on a business trip and he ran into Mary at a party and she told him that Jean Terrell had just left the group and they were looking for another lead singer. Well, he was my boyfriend at the time. We had formed a relationship, and so he told her about me, of course. So Mary called me, and she had me to send a couple of the albums and photos of myself,
Sure.
and she knew I was Frida's sister. She was so excited about that, and
Right.
so I did. And then it was a Thursday night, and I was over to my best friend's house, Walter and Barbara Gaines, who
Right. Right.
dear friends to this day. Walter's deceased, but he was a singer with the group The Originals. But I was over to their house with Lamont, and my mother called and said Mary Wilson just called my house and wanted me to call her. So I did from Barb's house. And
Right.
Mary said she loved what she saw. And could I come out to Los Angeles? I said, well, yeah, okay. I said, when? She said, how about Saturday? I said,
Right.
Saturday? This was Thursday night.
Oh my
She
god.
said, I got a ticket at the airport waiting for you. I
Oh,
said,
wow.
"Dang." So I
Just
said, "Okay." And so everybody was cheering and hugging me, Lamont and Walt and Barb. And so I went home and I told my mother, and she was so excited. I said, "But I can't do it." She says, "Why not?" I said, "I'm too scared. The
wow.
Supremes, that's too big. I can't do it." So she gave me that mother talk like mothers will do, because my mother was a fabulous mother, very strong. And
Yes.
so Saturday morning, I got on the plane, flew out to Los Angeles, and Cindy Birdsong and her husband at that time, Charles Hewlett, picked me up and took me straight to Mary's house, and
Wow.
we started rehearsing. I didn't know that there was a gig in New Mexico State Fair that following Saturday.
Oh,
So
wow.
I
1
had a
week.
lot to learn. I didn't even have time to really get nervous. So
Right. Wow.
that
And
was
how
it.
old were you at this point?
How what?
How young were you at this point?
Oh, dang. I think I was, let's see, I think I was 27, I think.
Right.
27
Wow.
years old. I had graduated from Michigan State in '66 and had started teaching school after that. I graduated in medical technology, believe it or not. And I
Mm.
didn't want to do my year internship in a hospital. So my mother said, well, you better do something. You're not going to sit around this house after I paid all that money for you to go to school. 14, no, she said 14, $1,200 a year.
Wow.
Dang.
Now 12,000 a year won't even matter.
Right, yeah. So
Wow.
anyway, I was teaching school at the time when all this happened with the glass house. So
Right.
I naturally I quit my job. And so anyway, that's all history.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. Do you feel like you had a "I have to pinch myself" moment, whether it was going on in uh, New Mexico with the group or just some event around that time where you just almost couldn't believe that this was too good to
I
be true?
couldn't believe it. I was in another world. I think we were on the bill with it was either Stevie Wonder or Donny Hathaway, I think. And
Right.
they said, and the manager, Bill Loeb, said, if you do a good job, then you've got the job. And so after I finished, uh, came up to me, he said, you got it. You got the job. We loved you. I said, oh, thank you. And I called my mother screaming and hollering. And so that was, I think, September, October of 73. Yeah,
Yeah.
73. And then I
Yeah.
shortly after that, I moved out to Los Angeles from Detroit.
Wow. And just tell us a little bit about just sort of that insight that you developed, like you said, even in just a short time about not only Mary, but sort of working with the group. And obviously, they already had legendary status, and you guys just helped take it even further because I know there continued to be hits even after Diana.
Yes, yes,
Mm.
yes, the Jean Terrell, and, we went to the recording studio in a few months, and we started recording, and in fact, I'm trying to think of his name. He became lieutenant governor, Mike, uh, he wrote the first songs that I recorded in the
Mm.
studio. I can't even
Wow.
think of his last name, but he went on to become our lieutenant governor.
Right.
But anyway,
Wow.
we were always in the studio. If we weren't in the studio, we were traveling. I got to go all over the world, which I hadn't been able to do, a little girl from Detroit, other than
Right.
like going to Puerto Rico with my sister when she was performing with my mother. But
Right.
I got, Japan, England, everywhere, the Far East. It was amazing. The Philippines was just amazing. I was so
Right.
blessed.
Sure. If you had to pick a song, sort of maybe symbolic of your time there, just maybe one, I'm sure there are a few. What might that be?
Well, I think my favorite song, or the Supreme song, is My World is Empty Without You. I just love that song. But I
Right.
remember the first song, what drew me to them, was in '66, but right before I graduated, and I was doing um, taking quantitative analysis
Oh,
in
wow.
summer school. Yeah, duh.
Subject.
Quantitative analysis. And I was cutting through the dorm, going to the Quonset huts in back. And I heard this bump, 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 bump. And these white girls had their dorm room open. And so I stopped and I listened. So I went
Mhm.
inside and they had
Mhm.
the little record player there, and I said, "What's that?" They said, "Oh, it's a new song by this group called The Supremes." I said,
Wow.
"Wow." I said, "I'm from Detroit too. They're from Detroit." I said, "Oh, I really like that." And that was Where Did I Love Go?
Mhm. Yeah.
The first hit.
Wow, wow. Yeah, let's take a listen. What do you think it's the best way to describe why the music, even to this day, continues to remain timeless from a group like the Supremes?
That's a good question. I think because the music was easy, it was simple. You could remember the lyrics, you could remember the melody. There was nothing harsh about it. It was positive.
Right.
Great sing-along music. Some of this music nowadays is like, dang, you can't even remember the melody after the song is finished. And some music I'd like to sing along to, but after
True.
it's done, I can't. I'm like, huh? Or what are they saying?
Mm.
Uh, t- uh, it's completely different. I guess I'm old.
Older, we always like to
I'm
say, but
old.
not old. I think there's something to it that, like you hit at, that really is timeless when sometimes the qualities are simplistic, but they're pure. Um,
Pure, right.
Also,
Mhm.
not overly dramatized. It's just easy, free flowing
Right.
the way that people might talk, or as people may say, rap. But back then, we meant that we were kind of trying to flirt a little bit to each other. Oh, I'm rapping to it, and just nice and just really easy on the ears.
Right, yeah, easy melodies, it was just wonderful.
Yeah, and
Music was so simplistic back then.
coming from the heart. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, and then I know that the show's called Music and Medicine. That you've had a couple of health challenges that you've
Yes.
overcome, and I want to talk a little bit about that because if I understand correctly, you were telling me that you're a breast cancer survivor.
Yes, I am. April 23rd, I think that's when I had my surgery of
Mm.
2011.
Wow.
And I said, "Well, praise the Lord," because my mother died from breast cancer when she was 56 in
Oh my God.
1977. So, um, Frida never had any problems. I'm one who got all the allergies and everything, asthma, everything, allergic to this and that. But anyway, I said, "Better me than her." I said, "That's okay, my big sister." But anyway, I was diagnosed, and when Dr. Katner gave me the news, he said, "We have to find a surgeon right away." I said, "Well, okay." He thought I was going to be so devastated. I said, "Okay, next step,
Mm.
find the surgeon. We'll do it." So we went to the surgeon. Frida went with me, and I said, "Well, how long has it been growing there, my right breast?" He said, "Oh, about 8, 9 years." I said, "Dang."
Wow.
Anyway, they did the surgery, and I said, when I went to Doctor Van Squay that was his name, the in Beverly Hills, and first thing he said, "You're going to have to be on this pill for 5 years, and you're going to have chemotherapy, radiation, and you're going to lose all your hair." I said, "Okay, I'll take the pills for 5 years. I'll do the radiation, but I'm not doing chemotherapy." He said, "What?
Mm.
You've got to have chemotherapy." I said,
Right.
"Nope, I'm not doing it."
Right.
And so I didn't. My mother didn't do chemotherapy either, and look what happened. That was
Mm.
because she didn't want to lose all. She had long, beautiful hair. She was vain about her hair, but anyway, that's another story. So anyway, and it turned out he said, "Well, there's a test we can do. There's a small percentage of women who chemotherapy won't be of need for them." And
Right.
so he said, "We'll have to come in, take some blood." I think they took about 4 tubes of blood. He'll take about 3 weeks to get the results. Finally, the results came back, and he called me. He said, "Well, I've got good news. You don't have to have the chemotherapy." See
Mm.
there, that was God telling me, "Don't take that chemotherapy." I did the radiation twice a day at Cedars, and
Yeah.
I took the pill for 5 years, and I'm
Right.
still here.
Right. So something else. And let's talk about that. You're still performing, you still sing. How much has music just so touched your lives in being able to also touch the lives of others to make it through these various types of challenges that we
Wow.
all face?
Well, a lot of times people have come up to me, and maybe I didn't even feel that good that day. And someone will come up to me after a show and said, "Wow, you really made a difference in my life. But I was going through this or that, and then after listening to you, it made me feel so much better." And I said, "Well, praise the Lord." I may not have said praise the Lord, but that's what I was thinking inside.
Right.
And then I would, smile. And sometimes even during this pandemic, I've gotten real depressed because I've always suffered from depression. My sister didn't even know that. Deep, dark depressions. Sometimes where I even had suicidal thoughts,
Oh,
but I
wow.
knew I would not carry it out. But I've had suicidal thoughts, even
Mm.
just recently this week.
Mm.
But um, I know I would never act on it, but, sometimes when you get so deep, dark, I know where it's coming from, that dark place, that demonic place. I rebuke it in the name of Jesus, and I pray, or somebody might call me with some lift me up, whatever. I'll read something, and sometimes I'll just start singing. Sometimes you just have to sing yourself happy.
I like that. Yeah, no, it's so
Right.
important. And I wanted to explore that a little bit because it's so important for, I think, so many of our listeners. Is one of these places that we always seek to go, which is try to help people through their mental health journey. You talked
Mm.
about some of the ways that help you. What do you think are just some of those challenges with the way the mind works that it does feel like it's harder to really, process a more positive um, perspective? Uh,
Mhm, mhm.
help shield, because I know for many times people may feel like, gosh, things really are hopeless and this is the best way to solve it, I just won't be part of the equation.
Yep, that's awful. That's a terrible way to think. There was a young man, 10 years old,
Mm,
who was a part of a organization in our church, Hand for Hope, and um, he uh, Xavier Patterson. He was a star basketball player at North Hollywood High,
mhm,
and handsome young man, 6'3", senior,
right,
and star player. And I guess he was suffering from depression. And I think this was happened in February of 2019, Valentine's. His girlfriend had quit him. He got into an argument with some friends, so his father took his cell phone away, and
mm,
so then that next day he went to the Hollywood freeway where it intersects with the Ventura freeway, the 101 and the 170, and he climbed on top of a fence or whatever, and people were gathering around. He was threatening to jump, and people were gathering around, cars stopping, and yelling up to him, "Don't jump, don't jump!" And then finally somebody said, "Don't jump." He said, "Your family loves you." And then he said, I won't say what he said, the word, but he said, "My family doesn't give a fuck about me." And then he jumped to his death.
oh my gosh.
17 years old. So things
So
like that get to me, and I think, "Oh, I wonder in that second when he was on his way down, did he have a change of heart?" But it was too
right.
late to turn back.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
can't
Is
turn
there,
back.
is there something that you feel that is so important for whichever community, the music community or the health community, to really try to do to help show more love, have better understanding, be more
Mhm.
supportive, have a better ear, that
Mhm.
we need to do to try to help?
Absolutely. There's another case of a neighbor whose nephew, I think he hanged himself or shot himself. He was, I think, 17 as well, but he shot himself because his grandfather was a Pentecostal minister. He was in Mexico. They were Spanish, and he didn't want his grandfather to know that he was gay. And
Mm,
he was so troubled by it that he killed himself.
right,
And I know of someone else who's a nephew in Texas, for whatever reason, they still don't know to this day, but when his mother walked into the garage where he was working, he was hanging from the rafter.
right,
You don't know
wow,
what's going on with these young people, so
right.
it's just awful, just awful. So we have to be careful, give love, not
Yeah,
hate.
no, absolutely.
Listen, listen, yeah.
You touched on it a bit. Do you feel like music, your words, some of the songs that you love and listen to have really helped you through those dark times in a way that you feel like it touches your soul or your heart to change some of the mood, maybe the
Absolutely, absolutely. I like classical music too, and there's a song, not a song, but a piece from Rimsky-Korsakov, Scheherazade, and there's a certain point in the music, this beautiful music comes on, and the violinist is just playing this magnificent solo, and it just feels like I wanna just float in the air. It's just I can't even explain it. It just fills my heart. Music is the answer, I'm telling you, music. Oh my gosh.
Sure. What is one great experience that you really feel, gosh, having lived this life and being on the road with the Supremes and things like that, really, I feel I was able to touch someone, or there was some special moment where you really felt like this is why I was maybe even put on this earth to use music in this way, to have this platform with the
Well, like
Supreme.
I've said, people have come up to me and actually told me they made a difference. I made a difference in their life. Some may have been contemplating suicide, and
Mm,
they said it was something that I said and while I was singing or in between the patter that I
mm,
did, and they said that made the difference. Or listening to my story because I've told this before, and they
sure.
said 'cause, you know, this isn't the end, this world here. That's why you have to constantly look up, and besides singing, I love stage playwriting, screenwriting, and I put my energies into that, and it's, you know, have to stay away from negative people.
Yes.
Trawlers, stay away from negative people, they're basement people, they will bring you down, and
Right.
sometimes people have called, and they're just so negative, the whole conversation, by the time I get off the phone, it's like, "Dang, I was feeling good before they called."
Okay, so answer the phone. I got send that to voicemail next time.
So get surround
Yeah,
yourself with positive people. I mean, you can't be positive every single day, but
right.
people who have, you know, there's a better place, not a better place, but there is a better place, but
Mhm,
hope, there's always hope for tomorrow. Tomorrow
mm,
is a new day, a new beginning.
mhm.
So, you know, look up, don't look down, dang.
Sure. No, absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Miss Payne. I know that you literally squeezed us in, and it was such a pleasure to be able to meet you and have some time with you earlier this month.
Don't call me
And
Sherry.
you've just
Call me
been so,
Sherry.
oh, sorry, I don't want to be so presumptuous, but just so kind of you to not only have shared your talents, but your voice and this sincere honesty about just some of the challenges that many of us face and
Absolutely.
thought about. I think that you give some really good, pearls about the
Thank
fact
you.
that music,
Thank you.
can be
And life
used.
is short. Life is short. I experienced it like I was telling you in the beginning. In 2019, before Christmas, I had a TIA, transient ischemic attack, right in the middle of an act on at the
Mm,
Catalina Bar and Grill, and all of a sudden I couldn't sing, and I had to speak the rest of the lyrics of the song. And I prayed, Lord, please let me finish this song. I want to get paid. So we finished the show. It was almost a 2-hour show, and
great.
everybody, several people who knew Frida knew there was something wrong with me.
Right.
'Cause I thought I was having a heart attack. So anyway, she said, "You need to go to urgent care." I didn't go. I went home. I said, "Well, I won't go to church tomorrow." I slept in, and then my girlfriend called to see how I was doing. And while I'm talking to her, my left arm went numb. I still didn't
Mm.
pay any attention. I said, "I got to get to Costco to get my turkey for Christmas." Went to Costco, came back,
Oh
still
God.
wouldn't go. The next morning, I got up, made a pan of cornbread and toast to make my dressing, made a pan of candied yams, a pan of macaroni and cheese, took my grandson to his basketball practice at Grand High, came home. Went by urgent care, like Frida kept telling me, and it was filled with people. I said, "I'm not going in there. I will be sick." So anyway, halfway through the day, I
Right.
called my primary doctor, and he had just left for the vacation, and they said, "Well,
Mm,
what's wrong?" And I told him my symptoms. They said, "Well, you need to go to the hospital." I said, "I do." They
right.
said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." Hung up. I said, "I'm not going to no hospital."
Oh,
I was doing laundry, and then
God.
about an hour later, I have heard the voice of God tell me, "You need to get to urgent care and get there no later than 4 o'clock."
Right.
So I said, "Well, I gotta put my clean sheets on first," which I did. Then I ran out the door at 5 minutes to 4 and got to urgent care. There were only 2 people in there. They saw me right
Mm,
away, and Dr. Jacobs, Julia Jacobs, saw me, and she's the one who said, "You've just had a TIA," after she examined me. And my daughter called on my cell phone. Then I said, "Well, explain it to both of us." So she did, and then she asked my daughter, "How soon can you get here?" She said, "15 minutes." She said, "Get here as quickly as you can." And
right.
then I said, "Well, no, I don't need her to drive me anywhere. I drove myself. I just lived 6 blocks." She said, "How do you think I got here?" She said, "You cannot drive." She said, "I'm
Yeah.
calling Providence, St. Joseph right now, and you're to wait no more than 10 minutes before they see you. I'm calling ahead right now." So Shauna was there, took me to the emergency, and Frida was waiting in the doorway, went in, they admitted me, and I said, "I can't stay here. I gotta get back home. I got all this food to cook, my dressing and stuff." They said, "You're not going anywhere." Even my
Mhm.
pastor came, and I thought, "Am I dying?" And so anyway, they kept me, ran all these tests. The next morning, 2 cardiologists came in, a neurologist and a regular doctor. And
Right.
then they said, not only had I had a TIA, I also had a Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Well,
Right. Wow.
dang. They said my
Yeah.
heart had enlarged, and that's why I couldn't
Mhm.
breathe.
Right.
And they
Wow.
said due to stress. So
Right.
remember that stress can kill you. And when
Mhm.
God talks to you, because I gave a testimony in my church after I
Mhm.
finally got out. When God talks to you, listen.
Listen, sure. Well, there's no question, and I've gotten time to spend around you and your sister. You all are strong and headstrong, and used it to get through your breast cancer, and clearly didn't want to listen when it came to the CIA. But I'm glad that the voice of God was able to get through to
Yes.
you and get you in
Yes.
to get you the care and help keep you with us. So
Thank you,
um,
Dr.
it's a
Lewis.
pleasure. Your smile and your warm nature is so infectious. It's always so much fun being around you, and
Thank you.
I just so appreciate and love having you with us. And thanks so much for all you've done for us musically and everything else, encouraging us, like you said, even through our darker times, to
Thank
be
you.
honest, have an open conversation about a very heavy topic. Suicide is not
Yes.
easy to address or figure out
No,
or
it isn't.
understand.
I belong to an organization called Here's to Life, and that's what it's about, suicide prevention, so that
Right.
we're trying to get the word out there all over the world. If we can just do just a small percentage, save some lives, that's what we've got to do. Here's to
Sure.
Life Global, that's what it is, and I'm just happy to still be here. I'll be 78 in November, and I'm just praising God and thanking Him for every day.
Sure. Thanks so much. Well, we'll put the number below the screen and certainly shout out to the work they're doing at Here's to Life. There couldn't be a better name than that for this type
That's
of
right.
work.
Here's to
And
Life Global. Mhm.
so important. We just want to continue to highlight the need for all of us to be able to have more open conversations and surround all of our friends and family with more and more love. We can't have too much of that.
That's
Thanks
right.
so much. Thanks so much. As we go out, just one last song that you'd like us to listen to and to think about as we think about your great career. What would that song be?
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Ooh, there's so many songs that I love. A song that I wrote, it's on the one of the Partners album at Motown, Another Life from Now.
Yes.
Um, that was written from my heart. I did everything, the